How's it going, everyone? Sinister here of the Gamer section, bringing you another review. Hope you enjoy our content, and be sure to hit that like button if you enjoy our content. So, with that being said, let's move on to the review. And today's game we're reviewing is called Fury Unleashed. It's basically like a comic book style action game, kind of like an action platformer mixed in a comic book world. Kind of reminds you of Comic Zone from the Sega Genesis back in the 90s and things like that. But gonna cover everything, like from the graphics, the gameplay, the gamer score at the end, the usual. So basically, starting off with the presentation, it starts off like a cover of a comic book, and you meet this mysterious guy called Mr. Doodle. He kind of reminds you of the main villain of Comic Zone, things like that. So basically, you take control of your hero, like traversing through a big comic book, and you can tell, like when you click on the whatever button the system you're playing on, is basically the map layout. It's basically like a comic book panel. So basically, the more you traverse through the comic book, the more of the area that you see. Then, and which brings me on to the graphics. I mean, graphically, the game looks well detailed. It's bright. It's colorful. It's got nice parallax scrolling here and there, because you can tell, like, from the environment, like the more like your character moves, from scene to scene, you can see the parallax scrolling go with it, with all the trees in the background. But in the foreground, like the area looks the same, and things like that. Your character, sprite looks well detailed. The same thing with the enemies, like even though some of them are the same, but you basically got skeletons, bugs, and other creatures along in this game. And also in the environment, you also have these buzzsaw traps, like you're gonna see them everywhere, and things like that. So, moving on to the gameplay, it's basically action platform. You jump around, you can shoot your enemies, you can pounce on them, you can melee attack them, throw lobby grenades, however you see fit, like whatever the situation calls for it. And of course, like when you start out, you get like a tutorial at the beginning. It helps you, learn the controls, get a feeling of the game as you progress. You also gotta come across these icons, like that come up with 3 question marks. It's usually like something random. It's usually like from a quest, or basically get a weapon power up, a melee weapon power up. And sometimes also you get like an exchange. Like for example, you come across one icon, you get this armor, but at the cost of your health. So basically, you gotta pick your choose and think, what would you take with you. But it's nice, like with some of the weapons that you gain along the way, and things like that. However, if you die, you either like continue the game, but also if you choose like the upgrade option, you have to start the game all the way over at the first level, and the map is never the same. So basically, like you join like chapter 1 in the comic book, the area that you played before, you're not gonna recognize again because it switches it up. So basically, to keep a variety, so you're not playing like the same area over and over. Then I'm gonna recognize this area. I know what to dodge, like what all the danger spots here and there are, things like that. So keep in mind. But however, like you can't upgrade your hero along the way, because I suggest upgrade your hero, because like as you traverse through the game, it's gonna get more difficult. So basically, you need better power ups along the way that will help make things easier on you, things like that. So with that being said, gonna move down to the nitty gritty, the score. What score would I give this game? I give Fury Unleashed a 3 out of 5. Like I said, like the positives, it's in the graphics, it's well detailed. It's cool, like as far as the gameplay, you get something different. You could, different ways to take out your enemies, things like that. But however, but for anybody who's new gonna try this out, some of them are gonna have a rough time, especially like every time you start over, at the beginning and things like that. Sometimes you're gonna find it, frustrating. Also, like some of the enemy varieties usually the same, because usually you see the same enemies like in different areas, things like that. So it tends to be frustrating. But however, it is a good game overall. I recommend trying it. You can also, like I said, you can go at it alone or bring a friend with you. Bringing a friend with you makes the experience like a little bit longer, things like that. So with that being said, tell me what you think. Just leave your comments down below. This is Sinister of the